Alright, welcome to the video. I'm just gonna go over mixing and mastering on my song Creaks and Creepers. It's like the first rock metal song I've released, so I thought maybe I would show you guys what I did, all the tips and tricks and stuff or whatever. I don't know. So let's get into it. So I'm just gonna start by playing it a little bit. Just get the whole idea there. Alright, so that's the intro. It's just a little breakdown, a little bit of that guitar work. So let's talk about the panning guitars at the beginning. So it really isn't much. What I ended up doing was taking a pick on my guitar scraping, I think it's what it's called, just down the neck. It makes that screeching noise. Let's see if we can hear it. Yeah, and I initially didn't do it super long, so I just looped it, except you can't hear it because there's so much reverb on it, but here you can. So. And I just did that because I knew using reverb, it kind of make the sound all muddy, kind of fade together, so you wouldn't really be able to notice. And what I did was I automated the reverb. So let's turn that on. So you can't even tell that I looped it. It's all mudded together. And then I have that panning guitar here. Just same guitar pick, except I think I EQ'd it a little differently, so it stuck out and it just pans left to right. So you get, I'll just like that. That was kind of a last minute thing because it used to just start abruptly, like, it's an intro song. I didn't really like that, so I had to add something. But let's go on to the drums real quick, because I'm most proud of that. So let me solo all the drums here. So I recently got this program called Addictive Drums 2. I bought some metal drum kits. It's really awesome. It sounds pretty professional. But this is what it sounded like just straight out of the gang here. A second. So it's got a cool groove, kind of cool beat and everything, but it's not super driving. It's kind of raw, and I like that because it gives me more flexibility when editing. So I took the stems of all that and kind of threw them together. The kick wasn't super driving. In a metal song, the kick is like the driving force. So what I did was took my SSL EV2 and I added some EQ. It's just a kick preset from this dude here, and then limiter to make sure it doesn't clip my sound, and then take off some of the subs so it's not muddying up the bass. So the kick, can't really tell the difference, but it's there. And then the snare, just some EQ there. Overheads, I needed the overheads to be more bright because the crashes and cymbals got cut through, so it just brightened up the overheads here. All subtle things, same with the room. And then big player in the drum sound is the parallel compression. So my drum bus, I had some bass EQ, brighter, a lot more airy. You can kind of feel it cut through. Do that again. But it's still not driving. It sounds pleasing, but it's not driving, and that's where parallel compression comes in. If I just mute the drum bus, that's what it sounds like. It sounds pretty weak. That's without the effects. I decided to add a heavy compressor, saturation, and a clipper, and it goes like this. It's very compressed, it's very hard hitting, and you kind of mix that with your drum bus, and you get this stuff. It's about a weak snare, the kick's weak. Throw that on there, make it driving. It's heavy hitting, and I was happy with that because it's pretty awesome. So then I went on to mixing my bass. I solo that. I think we got, yeah, that's, so I'll go over here to the verse. It's more active. Yeah, that was fun playing. But what I did, so here's the like original without the effects. Wait, I have to turn this one on. I'll turn these off. Kind of thin, kind of quiet. Yeah, so I was like, man, it's got to be a lot more present because it's bass. It's awesome. I love bass. So I added more compression here and a limiter. And what the limiter did was it just took the signal that I was getting from the bass and it pushed it all the way down so that there were no like stray frequencies, no outlier frequencies clipping my signal. So added the limiter, compressor, and then I split the frequencies top and bottom, and that was so I could throw a sound goodizer on the bottom, which basically is a compressor and I think a saturator, and I'm running it pretty heavy here, and then I also limited that again, and a little bit of a sidechain with the kick to give leeway to the kick because they're sharing bass frequencies and it'll get all muddy. So sidechain just a bit so it's not super noticeable but is there. And then for the top, throw another EV2, and it's just a super I guess crunchy bass sound. It just kind of brightens up the bass so it cuts through, and it sounds more like electric, more slappy. So yeah, very happy with how that. Just mixed them together. Threw another EQ on there. Here we go. Cut some frequencies, added some frequency where it needed. All good there. And then, so yeah, usually I do drums first, then bass. So let's listen to them together. Yeah, I like that. So got that good groove, the bass and the drums working together. It's solid. But then we get into the guitars, which took forever because tones can be disgusting to mess with. But so what I did initially, I had double tracked, one pan left, one pan right. That's how you get that wide sound. And I was like, that's great and all, but it does not go as hard as it could. So that's when I was like, maybe I should quad track it, which is double tracking 2 times, panning 2 to the left, to the right. I did that and it added a lot more energy. So I was like, that is definitely needed. I EQ'd the quad tracked guitars differently. I took some bass out just so it didn't get all crowded in the bass frequencies, and give some more high end for them to stick out, get more energy. The guitar bus I have here, it has a few things on it, but looks like I turned off a lot of it. Yeah, it just has it's cutting off all the frequencies pretty much below 300. Starts cutting, which is much needed once again, so it doesn't get all muddy in the bass. Here, just some compression. Doesn't look like it's too hard. No, it's not. Well, it is a 20-to-1, which is pretty hard, but the attack and release, yeah, so it's actually pretty hard. I don't know what I'm talking about. So hard compression there. Keep the signal flat so it's not fluctuating. Throw some EQ on there. More EQ, more EQ. I think this was because there's some annoying frequencies, so I just chopped it off. Through a tape stereo emulator on here. Just bought this recently. It's kind of awesome. And then the reverb here was that automation at the beginning for the intro. So yeah, you get a cool, like, solid guitar tone here. Yep, so that took a while. It's a lot to do with tones. There's so many options. Like, this is what it'd sound like. No effects, anything. There's a lot more bass. It sounds a lot more full, which it does. I agree. It does sound better here in this context, but in the context of the whole song, it doesn't stick through. It's very weak, and that's really what matters in the context of the entire song. And that's why you don't really ever mix just listening to guitars, because then you'll mix it to how it sounds alone, and then you'll have interfering frequencies with all the other things. So let's see what we got so far with all of our kick, bass, guitars, and drums. Let's see. Love that chugging tone. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so now we're on to vocals. Gonna be honest, I didn't really know what I was doing here. On like all parts of it, the recording, the delivery, the mixing. It was more of just trial and error and doing what I thought was best. So initially, I recorded vocals here. So. Are you so scared of the darkness? Sounds pretty clean. I'm using an SM57, so it's what it's expected from it. Pretty legendary mic. And here it sounds okay. It's not loud enough though, so I had to increase the loudness, normalize it, and then it was pretty weak in the context of the song. So first thing I usually do on my chains, de-ess it, because when you're screaming and singing, all those S's and P's and T's, all those syllables and stuff pop. So then I de-ess it, then compress it so that I'm not compressing all the S's, all the T's, all that stuff. And then throw on some EQ again. Some delay. Gotta have the delay. I think I was gonna do reverb, decided not to, and saturation, decided not to. So, sounds like this. Are you so scared of the darkness? It's very compressed. It gives it that hard-hitting feeling, like metal, rock, all that stuff. But just a lead vocal, like that's not gonna cut it for the energy of the song. It sounds fine, but it's not all we need. We need more. So I was like, I record a bunch of takes, so I was messing with stuff, and I added backing. Oh, yeah, it's right here. So I added some backing ones, and I have a similar chain, almost exactly the same chain. And I think all I did was EQ'd them differently. It just to pop out, to stick out more. Are you so scared of the darkness? There's no need. They've got nowhere to hide. What I did there, recorded 2 takes, pan hard left, hard right. It just gives that wide feeling. If I were to have just put it in the middle, are you so scared of the, would not have sound good at all. It would have been too crammed and you wouldn't have been able to hear it much. So put it out wide and you'll be able to hear it. Definitely adds to that that feeling too. So we're on to, so we got all of our drums, all of our guitars, all of our vocals, bass. I don't think I had any synths or anything on here though. Oh, I had a guitar here. I think it's one of these. Just recording some effects that hide behind the song. You can hear it. You must hold on tight. Just to give a little bit of something, so you can so it's not plain. Change things up a little bit. And then what's this? Oh yeah, my solo. Listening to it now, I kind of wish I would have paid more attention to the mixing. It's kind of cluttered, but it's like, let's see if I can turn some of these effects off. Mid solo, but it's okay. It's fine. I didn't do much post editing to this. Most of it was done like on my pedal board. So all I had to do, EQ it, take some highs off because it was ear piercing, take some mids out, and then I had a chorus effect just to give it that wide feeling. Because why not? I added some delay. Just gives it a sustaining feeling. Feels awesome. And then I just threw it on my guitar bus. Goes to the same chain as all the other guitars, just so it fits better in the mix. Yep. So that is pretty much all I've got. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was very fond of that part. That was like groundbreaking. Cause I had initially just had the riff, the dun 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 dun, and I just kept playing that over and over again. I mean, here in the, let's see, solo these. So the intro is the riff, and then the verse is just the riff but played slower. So I kept playing that over and over again, and I was just like, it's cool and all, but I need like a breakdown, something to change the flow up a bit. So I was just playing around and big fan of how that turned out. Yeah, and I just kept going to like a different sections of the breakdown at the end. Kind of randomly. There's no method to it, just whatever fit. But yeah, super happy how this turned out, especially as like a first rock metal project. It's super catchy in my opinion. I've had a lot of people come up to me and be like, man, you like Creaks and Creepers? That's so catchy. And I'm like, thank you. I did not mean for it to be as awesome as it is, but I guess it hit. But yeah, I just thought I'd go over some of my mixing. Might as well show you the mastering while we're here. Quick tape emulator again, just to give it that old tapey vibe. The real studio stuff. I have a multi-band compressor here, just lightly compressing all the channels, all the bands. It goes into a big limiter and compressor. This is what really pushes it. So compressing it with like a almost 2-to-1 ratio, quick attack, kind of a slower release, and just a normal compressor with a 9 decibel gain. But I also have some limiters here. One just quick peak limiter, high frequency limiter, clipper, and then protection. Protections make sure that nothing goes over negative 0.3. That was what I set, because once it goes over 0, it clips, and that is not what you want. So I did a ceiling there, just anything over it just cuts it, which I try to keep everything quite a bit below that. But I have a few parametric EQs here, cut off the unheard bass frequencies, cut off some of the higher frequencies that you don't hear. A mastering assistant, Ozone 9 Elements. I can run it. It's kind of like an AI mastering thing. I let it do its AI thing, and then I edit it a lot because it usually doesn't do what I want it to do. It usually peaks it or limits it way too hard, and it just sounds awful. So it's a mid-side EQing. Goes straight into a limiter at negative 0.3. Again, just so nothing goes over that, or else it would be bad. And then I can just kind of see how the audio files turned out. So tonight, Creaks and Creepers addicted you. So I try to keep it mostly level here. That's just so you have an even balance between the lows, the highs. It's a lot harder than it seems, because if you want to have a rock and bass, you got to be able to hear it, but you don't want it too much, or it'll just completely destroy your audio. Bass takes up a lot of the space there, so it's just a lot of toying around playing it. But yeah, so this is Creaks and Creepers, the intro track to the Creaks and Creepers album. You guys can go listen to that on CCL Records YouTube channel if you guys would like. Not making you. And if you guys would like to see any more behind the mix videos of any other songs I've made, I'd be happy to do that. Just like leave a comment. And I'm also doing this randomly at almost 11 p.m. so it's kind of random, but yeah. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys were inspired. I always watch behind the mix videos when I was learning to mix. It always inspired me to keep making music and just have fun with mixing, because it's pretty fun. It's an acquired taste kind of thing, but it's a lot of fun just messing around. So yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, see you in the next video maybe.